But just as we're beginning to come to the end of this 4-hour interview, I thought I'd ask you 3 wrestling questions so that I could put them up on YouTube, clickbait them, get a little bit of ad revenue add to my billions and billions.
Right.
Do you mind 3 wrestling questions?
Not at all.
Okay, well, one of the things I love doing with Keeping It 100 is when I make the clips for their YouTube channel, I love pissing off the AEW fans because they always take the bait, and it always means thousands and thousands of views, even if I don't, because I've never seen AEW in my life. I don't really watch it, but I love fucking with people. I think it's hilarious. It makes me feel like a big man. One of the things that genuinely does annoy me, though, is I don't like the way Cody Rhodes books himself. He's everywhere. He's doing too much. Everybody seems to debut in an angle with him. Then he'll go and do a real interview on like the Highway to Helms podcast. I wouldn't have him on mine. I'm big time. And he'll trash Triple H and talk about, he used to use his booking power to do this, do all that shit. To me, he's doing exactly the thing that he's criticizing Triple H for doing. So what's your take, Shane Helms, on the Cody Rhodes booking himself to kick everyone's head in?
Well, I know he just got murdered by Brody Lee, so he definitely, I wonder who booked that. And I don't know who exactly his booking was, so I can't say for certain. I mean, I know he's got an opinion of the show, but it's still Tony Khan's company. So I can't say for certain whose booking was. So, but he did just get murdered by Brody Lee. And even if he has had a good run with that TNT Championship, which I think he has, he was able to highlight a lot of good people and put the spotlight on people that didn't have the spotlight on them. And the Eddie Kingston match that he had was one of the best pro wrestling matches of the year. And with a guy that was completely unknown, not completely unknown, but unknown and untested in terms of national television. You know, Eddie Kingston was an independent guy who had been good for a long time. He had a small run in Impact, and I was a huge supporter of him in Impact. And Cody goes out there with him, and they just fucking tore it down and got the guy a contract, you know. So I think when you're in that position that he's in, that the Young Bucks are in, that Kenny Omega is in, there's always going to be people that have your opinion, no matter what. No matter how they book themselves, if they book themselves to win, to lose, there's always going to that's why I wish they would have kept that a secret. It doesn't really serve a purpose that fans know that they're chief executive officers or that they're behind the scene guys. Same thing in Ring of Honor with them letting people know that Marty Scurll's the booker. Like, I don't know why you would tell people that. You know, I know that there are certain people that make these Marvel movies. I don't give a shit who's making them, who's writing them. I don't care what the fuck. I want to go and watch a good movie. I want to watch a good wrestling show. I don't really give a shit who's calling the shots, as long as it's good.
But what would be your take, though, because AEW's success rate hasn't been massive. Like, it's not like they're fucking shutting down, but like they have half the audience that they do from when they began. Like, and obviously nobody's going to maintain the debut rating. All TV shows start off huge and then dip off. But for me, it was like Cody makes himself a top guy, ratings go down. He's staying the top guy, ratings are going down, and nobody's being, well, this is from a Mark perspective, that nobody's being like elevated to the level of like, holy shit, it's fucking Cody Rhodes versus Warehouse or whatever that guy's name was. So when I don't
think you can put it on one guy. There's several guys that you can say are the top guys. You can't say it's just Cody.
So the code we can go for there is Shane Helms blames the failure of AEW on Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega.
No, I'm just saying it's the whole company. It's a company package. I don't think a lot of people watch any wrestling show for just one person. I would never go to a wrestling show for just one person. I go because I'm gonna get several, probably 7 to 8 matches and get 2 hours of entertainment. You don't go for one person. And it's a weird time right now with the whole ratings and the COVID shit. Nobody even knows what ratings mean anymore. It's just that's the most boring conversation to me in the entire business industry to have.
Yeah, because people say about WWE ratings, it's like, well, okay, but then you look at that YouTube clip of Roman Reigns talking to Paul Heyman, and it's got 4 million views since Friday, and it's like that's success.
Yeah, and then they're making more money than ever in the history of the fucking business. So it's such a weird thing, and I don't need something to be popular to validate whether I like it. I don't have that mentality, When I was doing the indies in the early 90s, when they were brutal dog shit and hard to do, there was nobody there. Nobody really liked it in the early 90s. The wrestling business was in a hole in the early 90s. It was just rotten. And that didn't bother me. I didn't care that other people didn't like it. I liked it. That's what mattered to me, is that I liked it. Saying before comics became this big mainstream Hollywood phenomenon, superhero movies, I always liked them. And it didn't matter to me that other people didn't. So I really don't. That's why I have so little interest from a business standpoint. Yes, you got to pay attention to ratings and stuff like that, but it's not my wheelhouse. I'm an artist. I create out there, and I hope people like it. That's always the hope, of course, of any artist. But if you start worrying about just selling the most hamburgers, then you're going to get McDonald's. McDonald's sells more hamburgers than any other fucking restaurant place in the world. They are not even close to being the best hamburger. It's not even in the conversation. Nobody goes, you know what? McDonald's has the very best hamburger. Nobody fucking says that. But they sell the most. So, like you mentioned Twilight. Twilight made way more money than Pulp Fiction. There will never come a day in my life that I think Twilight's a better movie than Pulp Fiction.
Although Twilight New Moon is the #1 film of all time.
Fucking Twilight, horrible. All the Twilight movies were absolute rubbish. You like I used the word rubbish?
Loved it. I usually just say. But speaking of which, you mentioned burger. You know where you can get the best burger?
Real Good Foods.
From my mama.
From your mama? Okay.
Oh, yeah. But just a second.
Next time I visit her, I'll make sure she makes me one.
Next. What's this? What's he saying?